How good can a $599 e-bike be? Let's find out.
Hey everyone, Micah here with Electrek, and today we're reviewing the 26-inch Nakto electric cargo bike. It's more of a city/kind of cargo bike, but it's still a pretty fun ride. Let's check it out.
What you're looking at here is Nakto's $599 electric cargo bike, with the cargo part in air quotes. At $599, this is one of the cheapest full-size e-bikes out there. I bought this bike not because I expected it to be great, but because I hoped that it would at least be good. And I wanted to find out if there was actually a decent e-bike out there for someone on an ultra budget, but who doesn't want to get stuck with a weird little miniature e-bike, which is what you usually get for those ultra budget prices. But the Nakto is a full-size bike with 26-inch wheels and a distinctly Dutch-style frame, or at least Dutch-inspired. I was hoping that basket would be a cool rattan-style basket like the one in the Amazon ad, but it turned out to just be a cheap plastic basket. It works fine, and it even has a cover so things don't bounce out when you hit a bump, but it's not nearly as cool as I was expecting. Rounding out the cargo capacity of the bike is a rear rack, which is actually just fine and should be plenty for anyone who wants to zip tie on a milk crate or a larger rear box. You also get a front headlight, suspension fork, twist throttle, 7-speed drivetrain, an electric horn, and well, that's about it for the list of features. So yeah, it's a pretty simple bike, I guess. You're not getting a lot of extras here for $599. On the electrical side, the bike is rocking a 250-watt rear hub motor that gets it up to just shy of 20 miles an hour or 32 kilometers per hour, though the pull is strong enough and the hill climbing is decent enough that I suspect it's actually closer to a 350-watt motor. I still had to pedal some on hills to keep my speed up, but that's pretty standard with 350-watt drives. That's also a drum brake you spied on the rear there. Nothing fancy, but it's tried and true, just like the rim brakes on the front. Nothing fancy, but they work. The battery is helpfully labeled battery, just in case you forget what it is. It's a 36 volt and 10 amp hour pack for a total of 360 watt hours. That figure might sound a bit underwhelming at first, and it kind of is, until you remember that we're talking about a $599 e-bike here. Just buying the battery by itself would cost half the price of the entire bike, to put that in perspective. In terms of range, they claim you can get up to 35 miles or 60 kilometers of range, but you'd have to be doing some pretty hard pedaling to see those figures. On throttle-only operation, you'll barely get half of that range, topping out at around 15 miles, maybe 20 miles if you're on super flat ground and you don't weigh too much. Pedaling can obviously increase the range, but you'll want to note that you don't get multiple levels of pedal assist like on most e-bikes. On the Nakto, it's either on or off. Not ideal, but it works. The ride is more comfortable than I expected. That suspension fork is not high-end by any stretch of the imagination, but it's more than enough for smooth streets and decent bike paths. It even did surprisingly well on rougher streets with cracks and light potholes. The upright seating position will be familiar to fans of cruisers and Dutch-style bikes, and the step-through frame makes it easy to mount, especially for seniors. Personally, I've always liked sitting just a bit lower than most people on bikes, but you can pop that seat up as high as you want, even for longer-legged riders. Ultimately, there's nothing sexy or even highly compelling about this bike. It's just a simple, cheap e-bike that works fine. Until it doesn't. I actually ended up blowing the fuse on the battery during one of my hill climbs, which on the one hand shows that at least the fuse protected the battery, but also probably indicates that they used the cheapest fuse they could find. So I'd probably recommend sticking a spare fuse in your pocket, just in case. Other than that, I can't complain about the bike for this price. It's not great, but it's good enough for anyone that wants a cheap, full-size bike for simply cruising around. Just don't expect it to last long enough to pass down to your kids.
Thanks for watching everyone, we hope you enjoyed that review. If you did, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe so you can check out all of Electrek's electric vehicle videos. We'll see you here next time.